Howdy, 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 all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to another week on Anti-Tools Farm. I'm Berkeley, he's Jared, and this is Stardew Valley Tools Aren't Real Edition, where we play Stardew Valley without using any tools. And I'm just gonna talk for a bit while Jared updates some settings in Twitch. I
That's what
just
I do.
noticed that the our bank account says 227444, which feels a lot like a PIN that you'd get texted, you know? Have you ever noticed that those are like just a little bit more memorable than random?
Oh yeah.
There's almost always a sequence or a set. I appreciate that they do that. I'm
Yeah,
very curious how they decide how random to be.
it's very nice that they do that, but you still have to make it somewhat random because it's a security feature most of the time. So like you can't
Hmm.
you can't narrow down the options too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's some math you could do to figure out like how many combinations of six-digit numbers there are with at least one repeating. But they've got so many different like ways that it can be more memorable than random. Anyway, I just think that's neat. Yo, Babarma, welcome. Glad you're here. Oh shoot, we're out of hay. I need to buy some from Marnie. Hopefully she works on Mondays. Well, I've had a great week because I've been able to spend more time on Discord because, as we talked about last stream, our Discord is now live. Thank you everyone who has joined. It's been fun seeing everyone, chatting with you all. If you're interested in joining our Discord, we've got a link in the bio if you're watching on YouTube, or a link in the description, sorry, or it's in our about section of our bio if you're on Twitch. Yeah, anyone's welcome to join. If we know you or if we recognize you from the stream, we'll give you those special permissions to do more things. Even if you're a newcomer to anti-toolery, though, you're still welcome. We'd love to chat with you. Got to chat a little bit more about the Anthropocene Reviewed over the week. Um, yeah, just fun seeing everyone roll in.
All right, I did it, Berkeley. I did it.
Nice. Thank you.
So one thing that I would love to talk about on the Discord in the stream, we try to keep things interesting and fun. But I am a big fan of geopolitics and history, which, depending on who you are, can be interesting and fun. But for a lot of people, is maybe not fun, but interesting. So I'm going to be talking about some books that I really like surrounding um, Cold War history and how Putin and, by extension, Russia became what it is today. So if you're interested in talking about the situation in Ukraine and Russia's role in it, as well as the way that Russian politics has impacted American politics, get up on that Discord and we'll talk about it. There's in my opinion a lot of fun and interesting things to say about that.
Nice. I've actually also got a Russian themed book that I'm gonna be talking about there soon. I haven't read enough of it yet to like recommend it. I don't know if it's thumbs down or thumbs up yet, but it's a book about short stories, and the author happens to know the most about Russian short stories, and so it like walks through a bunch of Russian short stories.
Interesting. Are they? Is there a theme of them being bleak and depressing?
I am on the first one, and it's a little less bleak than I would have guessed.
Oh, very
So
interesting. Okay.
yeah, kudos to Chekhov.
Doesn't Chekhov have a famous plot device named after him?
Yeah, or plot advice, maybe more than plot device. Uh, yeah,
Fair.
Chekhov's gun is that if you have a gun in your scene, that gun better go off by the time the scene is over. Otherwise, there should not have been a gun in the scene. It's like the broader principle that he was teaching with his gun is don't include distracting unnecessary elements. especially in short stories. Novels, that's fine. We love it in novels, but short stories, got to keep them quick and snappy.
Mm-hmm. It's like an elevator pitch to the imagination.
Yeah, nice. Love that.
Thanks. Berkeley, can you guess what I will be doing in 1 week?
What will you be doing in 1 week?
I will be listening to the new book that will have come out that day in my
Oh,
favorite book
yes.
series, Red Rising. And I have been waiting for this book for 4 years.
Has it been
Uh,
that long since 5 came out?
yeah, I think
Wow.
so. The author wrote the first three books, I think, in 3 or 3.5 years. It was very fast, back to back. No, there was actually a little bit of a delay between book two and book three, and book two ends with one of the biggest cliffhangers I've ever seen. So
Yeah.
that was pretty agonizing to be to be living that in real time.
Yeah, geez.
But yeah, he had some challenges that he had to work through in terms of his creative process and figuring out where he wanted to go. But
Mm.
I'm very excited. Book five is one of my, if not my very favorite book of all time, at least fictionally. That's not the right way to say that. It's my favorite fictional book of all time. I like
There we
it
go.
really, true, in factually.
In Bluey, they always say, for real life.
For real life, I like it. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so for those who haven't heard of us talk about it on the stream, a this is a sci-fi series that takes place in like a couple thousand years in the future when humans have colonized the whole solar system and formed this really strict social hierarchy, caste system, and the first three books follow the main character leading a revolution against that system. And then, from what I've seen so far, I've only read through four, but the second trilogy, second half of the series, is all about the after effects of that revolution. Jared has earned the clicks achievement.
Yeah. I
You're
have
making friends.
reached the 5 heart level with at least 4 people, which is crazy to me because in real life I have 2 friends. So so I guess it's easier when you can walk up to people and give them fruit and they immediately will like it. I don't know, Berkeley, when we met in elementary school, if I walked up to you and handed you a fruit, would that have been enough to start our friendship?
Good question. I don't know. Depends on the fruit, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That makes me want you to rank some fruit. Can you give us, the S through F tier way of ranking things?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us an S tier fruit and an F tier fruit?
Um, I don't know. I don't know if I can. S tier would be like a really good strawberries or blueberries, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the fanciest fruit, but if someone's just going to randomly hand you one, you want it to be something a little more self-contained than, pineapple,
Mm-hmm.
but a little more special than an apple or a banana, which you could just get from the cafeteria.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to go with a really good blueberry or strawberry, or maybe a handful of them.
One single blueberry. Beagles love blueberries.
Ooh, but Barman says mango. Love that.
Mango. Mango is definitely an S tier fruit.
Yeah, if I walked into a class and someone was eating like especially some dried mango and offered me some, instant friendship right there. If the only reason I was hesitant at first, I don't want to make it seem like we were not fated to be friends from, the creation of time,
Yeah.
but I feel like especially at certain ages of my life and depending on the fruit, I would have been more bewildered than anything. So if
Mm-hmm.
you had brought me like, trying to think of what fruit would be bewildering. If you'd brought me like one loose orange slice, you know, I would have had concerns, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think anybody who gives out loose orange slices is a madman.
Or a soccer coach.
Oh, I just gave a tangerine. Is this a tangerine? An apricot. I just gave an apricot to the dwarf guy, and he said, "This reminds me of home."
Oh,
That's so cool.
he grew up in an apricot tree.
I looked out the window, and what did I see? The world outside of my apricot tree.
Nice twist.
Thanks.
Okay, so Red Rising, we've 1 through 3. I feel like had similar vibes to the Hunger Games. You've got
Mm-hmm.
this like building momentum as the revolution goes from impossible to reality. Um, book 4 got pretty dark pretty quick. Do you
Yes.
want to talk about that, like the arc of the series and the emotional
Yeah.
progression?
So, book one is the most similar to Hunger Games thematically and uses a lot of the same plot devices, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's very much a young adult novel, right? You could find that in a high
Hmm.
school library and it would fit in just fine. And so do the other two of the first trilogy, which originally was all there was. It was just a trilogy, and the ending of the trilogy was the end of the series. So throughout that, though, you progress from the perspective of somebody who knows nothing about the world at large, and you follow this character through their stages of, um, anger, and then drive to get revenge, and then learning about what that actually means in the world they live in, and then also getting to know their enemy in a very intimate way, um, beyond uh, what they had expected, and then having to deal with that. And so the first book kind of talks about, at a high level, is democracy good? And um, what what should I do to what is worth the price of freedom on a very kind of broad level. Book two is more about the process of obtaining that freedom, and who can you trust, and how do you value the people around you when you're surrounded by people you don't know if you can trust or not, and who don't come from where you come from. And then book three is pretty fast paced and a lot more, how do we overcome the differences. Would you say that's fair, Berkeley? Does that make sense so far?
I'm surprised that you brought up that theme of like, is democracy good so early? I didn't notice or pick up on that theme really until book 4 is when I felt like it became compelling.
Yeah.
Like there were definitely characters debating it, but I feel like the author wasn't trying to get me to debate it until
No,
later on.
I would agree with that. I think that the real hard hitting parts of that discussion don't happen until the last two books, books 4 and 5. Yeah, I agree with that. But the characters do discuss it early on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So book three ends in a very cathartic way, I feel, but also in retrospect unrealistic as well. And
Hmm.
I'm about to share some what I think are true history facts, but you might need to double check them to be sure that they are true history facts. Um, Haiti, which is an island in the Caribbean, is one of the only places to have had a successful slave rebellion that turned into an independent state from a colonized state,
Hmm.
through strength of arms. And one of the not remarkable, but defining characteristics of that rebellion was absolute brutality by both sides. Um, And reading about it, uh, Dan Carlin does a really good. I want to say it's just one episode, but it's probably 2 or 3 hours worth of material just digging into contemporary letters and views on slavery and the opposition to slavery in Europe and in the colonies, and um, the horrors of slavery and of the war to be free from slavery in Haiti and in the surrounding areas. And listening to that, and then listening to books 4 and 5, I think that the writing is targeted towards a more mature audience, but it also deals a lot more in the horrors of um, revolution and trying to fight a deeply authoritarian state, and also trying to navigate a balance between power and control and freedom and democracy and um, what is worth the price, right? Which is something I've said before, but I think that that's one of the core questions. And then how do you achieve what you set out to, and what sacrifices are necessary for that? So, yeah, books 4 and 5, particularly book 5, take a much darker, grimmer tone, but they are beautiful because of it. Because I feel like it reflects a lot more the true nature of the human condition, and the questions that we have to ask ourselves, and maybe the potential of a world out of balance where people embrace fascism or um, caste systems which exist in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whoa, is that a bear? What the heck?
Oh yeah,
Or is it a fat raccoon? It might just be a big old
one of the
raccoon.
two.
He's sleepy. He want fish. I don't have fish. I will fish. Anyways, what do you think about that, Berkeley? Do you think that that's a good representation?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I will say that like despite the fact that the books have gotten grittier and darker, which I usually don't like, the author improved so much over the course of the series that I have enjoyed every book more than the previous one.
Yeah.
So that's a fun little treat.
Yeah. I would say the first book is definitely the weakest entry in the series from a writing and plot standpoint.
I thought it was very funny to see people. So I went up and on Goodreads and like read a lot of the reviews for it, and there were quite a few. They were all men who seemed very indignant that people were comparing it to the Hunger Games,
Oh yeah.
which I thought was so funny because it's just very, very obviously inspired by the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah.
It got more original as the series went on, and he did cool twists with it. I'm not saying that as in a bad way. It's just very clearly inspired by the Hunger Games. Like, person from the lowest caste goes to the death games run by the people of the highest caste and does a battle royale in a big arena. Like, hello.
Yep. Well, you try to earn favor from, you know, unknown benefactors.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The main character happens to be from the mining caste.
That's so true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, it is. It's a pretty direct parallel. Thankfully, the
But
world itself is pretty creative. Otherwise, it would have been almost just direct plagiarism.
mhm. Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway, well, I'm very excited for you. I hope you love the last installment. Do you
Thank
know if
you.
the author's planning more after the
Yes.
series is wrapped up?
So, so this book that's coming out next week is the second to last. It was going to be the last, but it got so long that he split it into two.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's going to be another one, and this author has mentioned wanting to get into fantasy storytelling rather
Hmm.
than sci-fi. So I
So
think
he's gonna give the characters magic wands in the sixth one.
yeah, and then they're going to reset the timeline to be Harry Potter.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to use their powers to undo Cursed Child.
Good call. I would support that.
Um, no, so yeah, there this book and then one more, but then lots of other new and different books that I'm looking forward to. I think this author's really come into their own over the course of writing this series, and I'm just excited to see what they do next. You know, it's kind of interesting. Like from a if you're a sports fan, which I can't claim to be, but
I mean, you could.
how many athletes out there play on a professional level multiple sports and are successful, right? There's a few, Michael Jordan being one of them, but how many authors do you get to see just branch out and do stuff and you know it's going to be good because they've mastered writing? And I don't know. The setting of a story is so flexible, but what makes it quality isn't attached to the setting or the whatever rules of the setting. So it's just so much more flexible. So I'm excited to
Mm.
see where that goes. I feel like I'm watching, like an Olympic athlete get to branch out and do so many other things. So
Nice.
I don't know.
Super cool. All right. Well, the U.S. has been having just record heat this week. Maybe the
True.
whole world has been having record heat. Chat, what are you doing to stay cool? My daughter has been playing in, we got like a little outdoor splash pad. It's like an inflatable pool, but that has sprinklers built into it. So we've loved doing that. But even that is just, it's too hot in the afternoon. We have to do it in the morning.
Yeah. I don't have AC in my apartment.
Ooh,
Um, and what we do to stay cool is open up all the windows at night. And by all the windows, I mean two windows. And we have a fan blowing air in one window and a fan sucking air out in the other window. And we set the fans to different speeds to create positive or negative pressure and like a steady flow of air.
mm-hmm.
And it works pretty well most of the time. But yeah, also
Nice.
been making a lot of agua fresca, which I think is I don't know if it's broadly Hispanic or if it's specifically from Mexico. I'm not sure what region it's from, but it's like lemonade but with fruit blended up into it instead of just squeezed juice.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really refreshing and
Yeah.
delicious. So
Nice.
that helps too. I'm wondering though if Berkeley, do you remember watching a documentary about like houses of the future when you were in middle school?
Yeah.
There was one that was like underground um houses where it's just a house but it's buried under the earth, and because it's buried, the thermal mass of the earth helps regulate the temperature to keep it cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that'll be the future.
Yeah, that might be what we need to need to do collectively. Yeah, it's scary having these like super hot weeks and then thinking maybe it's just gonna keep getting worse.
Yeah, yeah, and it probably will get worse for a while, but it's important to keep in mind that we've got a lot of the best and brightest people in the world working on this problem,
Hmm.
and we've never had as good computational power as we have today and ways to use it as we have today. So, if there's a solution out there, I'm confident that we'll find it. That doesn't mean that it won't be painful, living through the process of figuring it out and then implementing it and waiting for it to have a large impact. But um, I used to be a climate doomer, and I
Hmm.
still struggle with that to some degree because there's a lot of problems I just don't know how to fix. But at the same time, you know, with the way that solar energy is becoming more and more affordable, and the advances we're making in carbon capture and other ideas, I think that it's possible that we'll get to a place where we can start to fix these problems, or if not, be able to use green energy to um, take care of air conditioning. But I think it's also going to be important to try to provide help with that to people who aren't in the economic place to be able to afford air conditioning. I think that that's going to be one of the things that we'll need to look at expanding as a human right.
Yeah,
But we'll
I
see.
agree. Well said. Susie Moo says she's been beating the heat by cranking the AC and staying inside. Well, very
Yep.
expensive. Yep, that's been my strategy too. She says if you're interested in self-cooling and heating homes, I recommend researching Earthship homes. Very cool stuff. Cool.
It's
Thanks
time
for
to
the
Google
recommendation.
it.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Earth ship. Oh, I should probably get into bed, huh? Earth
Yeah.
ship house. An earthship is a style of architecture developed in the late 20th century to early 21st century by architect Michael Reynolds. Earthships are designed to behave as passive solar earth shelters, made of both natural and upcycled materials such as earth packed tires. Earthships may feature a variety of amenities and aesthetics and are designed to withstand the extreme temperatures of a desert, managing to stay close to 70 degrees Fahrenheit regardless of outside weather conditions. Earthship communities were originally built in the desert of northern New Mexico near the Rio Grande, and the style has spread to small pockets of communities around the globe, in some cases in spite of legal opposition to its construction and adoption. And there is a few pictures here. These are really interesting. So it looks like the outside has some solar energy, some glass, or at least reflective material that looks similar to glass with windows opening in it. And then imagine if you took a hobbit hole, but like designed it in Persia or the the Arabian Peninsula, and then um, made it out of stucco and put modern things on it.
Hmm. Neat.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Scamble says the Ranger House at I don't know how to pronounce this. Wawawe Park
Well,
is an
why?
earth shelter house.
That's so interesting. I'll have to go look at that. So Hawaii Park is a park nearby where I live, and
Hmm.
just like any local area, the way it's pronounced doesn't make any sense. All right.
Cool. Thanks for the tip, Susie Moo. That's cool. I saw you got level 7 foraging.
Ah, did I?
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention. Would you look at that? What are you at now, Berkeley?
6.
How? How is this happening?
I don't know.
Oh man. Kent has finally done it. Hello, Jared. This item was collecting dust in the tool shed. I figured you might be able to use it. Mega bomb.
No.
Thanks, Kent.
Yes.
When you say gathering dust in the tool shed, do you mean I made this last night in my dusty tool shed?
It's been gathering dust ever since I started rolling it in dust.
I was trying to make a snowman of dust.
D- Jared, I forgot to tell you, I got 3 hardwood in the mines
Oh, nice.
yesterday and
Okay.
today.
I went and
They're
checked
just,
on our trees out in the desert, and they're barely growing.
mm-hmm.
So,
I saw that as well. I planted one more. I also got a mahogany seed.
oh, excellent. Okay.
Been a great stream for finding things.
So I've been looking at manufactured homes recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know about the longevity of manufactured homes, but the affordability, especially if you live somewhere like I do, where there's a lot of empty land around. Um, if you're willing to drive, 10 or 15 minutes, it's very tempting to me to get into a manufactured home. And I was looking at some floor plans, and it seems like you can get a pretty good home, but I don't know if it has HVAC, which is big, especially with climate stuff going on. You really want
Mm-hmm.
AC. Um, and so I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. Traditional housing is so expensive now that I don't know if I'll ever get into it, or at least not for several years after I graduate. Got to get that engineering salary first.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like our generation is going to have to be kind of creative. I think we're going to come up with some interesting solutions, alternatives to traditional housing.
Yeah,
I've
I'm.
I've known people our age who were like living together, two or three families or households in a
Yeah,
house, which
yeah.
you know,
That's one way to do it. Another way is to rise up and overthrow your oppressors and
yes.
clean the table of corruption and
Hmm.
manipulation and start fresh. But that's a little bit more
I mean,
difficult than you know peaceful
yeah,
multifamily
yours is like
housing.
a long-term solution. Mine was like in the interim.
All right. Berkeley, we have so much fruit now. I'm wondering if it would be. Have you started turning it into wine? Are you making wine
Not
with it?
yet, but I'm about out of starfruit, so we should probably start turning into wine soon.
Okay. I've got a bunch stored, and you've obviously been putting a bunch in there as well. I was thinking maybe we could get a Silver Star wine, or is that not possible till I upgrade the house again? It probably isn't possible till we upgrade the house again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go pass around some more fruit and see if I can get some more hardwood because that's our limiting factor right now on the house upgrade.
Hmm.
So that's tough.
Cool. I'm gonna buy more hay before our animals starve. Oh, Susie said, "Lol, I've never thought about Kent making the bombs. I always thought that he brought them home contraband, that he brought home contraband bombs from the war." Sorry, I'm butchering this.
That really could be. That's or traditionally
That
has
does
been
make
a
more sense.
popular
Yeah.
thing for soldiers to do. Um,
Really?
yeah, they kind of put a stop to it. I don't remember when exactly, but in World War II and Korea, and I think even Vietnam, it was not uncommon for soldiers to bring home weapons that they captured on the battlefield, or other things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, that could definitely be. Could also be that there was like some sort of testing range, or he works with these for work or something. I don't know. I don't know what Kent does when he's not war fighting. Actually, that's really interesting.
Complains to his wife.
Do you think that he might be on like VA disability from his war experiences?
That would check out. He definitely has some cutscenes that imply PTSD.
Yeah, interesting. Well, good news. I just got a mahogany seed.
Whoa, nice.
So the Actors Guild, or an Actors Guild and Writers Guild have gone on strike recently.
Yeah.
And I've also been seeing an uptick in media talking about how movie production companies, what are those called?
Studios.
Studios, thank you, are trying to uh, buy permanent rights to people's image and create AI models and whatnot of people for very, very little money,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're retaining the rights in perpetuity. But with the strikes going on, it really makes me wonder, are the studios able to use AI currently to continue to produce things? And are we going to see that happening? Since it seems like these strikes are trying to go for the long haul if the studios aren't willing to negotiate.
Yeah, the studios are definitely interested in that. I feel like the technology isn't quite there yet, and the laws are definitely not there. I think there's a lot of cases where when there's ambiguous technology laws, you kind of take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Like, is Threads impeding on Twitter's IP? It's hard to say. And so Zuckerberg's going to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel from what I've seen, it seems like the movie studios are being a little more cautious. Like, if if you use AI to replace some of your background actors, that's a very small percentage of your costs that you've cut. But if you get sued in such a way where you can't show that film anymore, then like you've spent a ton of money to make nothing.
Yeah.
Um, so if it seems like they're going to be a little more cautious and wait for the laws to mature before they do anything. That's why they're seeking contracts with actors, trying to buy their AI generated likeness.
Yeah.
I saw a great analogy making fun of the studios who want to do that of like, oh, now you think it's okay to pay for something once and then continue to use digital copies of it for the rest of ever.
Right.
You wouldn't download an actor, but they would. They would like to.
You wouldn't not subscription model pay for an actor. Yeah. Interesting. I'm curious if they're going to try to make completely not based on actual actors or people at all, if they're going to try to use AI to fill their production gap right now, just
Hmm.
generatively instead of based on people. But I guess, what did you train the AI on? People. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, you can't really get away from the fact that it was trained somewhere on some data.
Yeah, and that kind of brings up a weird question of like, how diluted does the data have to be until it's considered not worth a royalty? Like,
Hmm.
imagine if Red Rising had to pay Suzanne Collins royalties for using a similar plot line in the first book, right? But then also for the rest of the series had to, even as the
Yeah.
plot diverged. So like in
Yeah, I feel like we hold AI to a higher standard than we hold humans to when it comes to like not being derivative,
yeah,
which I think is fair because we want to like reward human creators and we don't necessarily want to reward artificial creators. But yeah, you can't really take analogies from how we treat humans. I think you have to treat it a little differently, which then means that there's not any great precedent to go off of.
yeah, interesting. Oh, I've got an Evelyn cutscene.
Ooh,
She's giving me one of her famous cookies. I'm eating it. I have died. No, I'm just kidding.
what?
It's delicious. I got the recipe for cookies.
Nice.
Oh, I guess I can't talk to George because he's sleepy.
Man.
Berkeley, did you have music that you really liked in high school and then didn't listen to at all for several years and then rediscovered? Has that happened to you? Actually, chat, has that happened to you? Or am I the only one here?
I don't think I've had that specific experience. The stuff I remember listening to a ton in high school, I either kept listening to or it was Viva La Vida, which I played so much in the 3 years after it came out that I
The whole
still
album or just
can't
the
enjoy
song?
it. Just the song.
Okay. It was a mega banger at the time.
It was, yeah, it was everywhere.
I I loved that whole album. Um Especially Strawberry. Is it Strawberry Swing? Is that the name of it? It's been a minute since I listened to that album. Um yeah.
But Barman says definitely. So you're not alone. Who
Strawberry
who did it
Swing,
happen to you with?
Violet Hill, Lovers in Japan. Okay, this is not as cool as Coldplay. Back in the day, dubstep was the thing. And I was very much caught up in that fad myself. I still enjoy some dubstep occasionally, recreationally, but I wouldn't say that
Like,
I
what other way would there be? Medicinally?
I
Professionally?
I guess I
I
don't
guess
know.
people do it professionally.
Philosophically,
Hmm.
seriously,
Ironically.
ironically, there you go. I guarantee you there are people who out there who ironically listen to dubstep.
Hmm.
Um, So there was a artist who was not very well known at the time and still isn't super well known called Ifixa that did some remixes of Zelda Ocarina of Time songs. Zelda Ocarina of Time is a video game that came out from the Nintendo 64, and I think it's responsible for making Zelda as popular as it is today as a franchise.
Mm.
But anyways, they made three songs from Ocarina of Time and one from Wind Waker that I really enjoyed and would listen to all the time. And the other day, I was just sitting in bed and Molly was working on something, and so I just had some downtime, and I don't know why it popped into my head, but it popped into my head, and I went back and re-listened to all that, and then I got onto some other stuff that I hadn't listened to in a really long time, and it was really interesting to see how my taste in music has changed since then. I used to
Mm.
listen to, well, initially I would only listen to what my parents had because I didn't have any money to buy music. Um, so that was its own diverse set of music, but my tastes were really, really focused into electronic music, and I've branched out a lot since then. Um, I remember talking with you and Megan about Irish folk music and specifically the Dubliners, which is a group of crusty, super hairy guys who sing like drinking music,
Hmm.
um, and like other folk music, but in the sense that it's 1960s folk, not necessarily true to the roots of Celtic culture completely, but more about like nationalist concerns and the fight against England. So that's a very specific rabbit hole that I've explored with my musical taste that high school me would never have even dreamed of.
Mm.
But it's kind of fun to go back and experience something that I used to really enjoy and hadn't thought about in probably a decade.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's cool. That's fun letting your music branch out. I don't know about you, but I was kind of like tribalistic about music in high school. It was very much this is cool because I listen to it, and all other music is bad because I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
And now I can be like, wow, art is awesome.
Yeah.
Susie says she recently started listening to the first two Taylor Swift albums again. Nice. That's
Oh,
so fun. I've got a lot of fond memories of those.
Is it the original recordings or is it Taylor's version? I don't know how much Taylor Swift has re-recorded, but I'm just curious which version, if it exists.
Yeah. In response to dubstep, Babarma says, "Just don't inhale."
There you go.
Uh, he also wants to clarify that you listened to your parents' music because your parents had the best taste in music.
Ah,
I was gonna say,
yes.
if someone's gonna be stuck listening to their parents' music, you had good parents for that.
That is true. I did. I had a little bit of everything. Brazilian bossa nova, some really weird aggressive music in Celtic that I still don't know what it is or who made it, and I can't get it out of my head sometimes. Um oh man, what was the name of there's a Japanese band that makes it's Cornelius. They make really trippy, like sometimes it's really pleasant and sometimes it's so dissonant. But they do a lot of sampling of like different sounds, like raindrops or other things, and create these beautiful harmonies. Cornelius, if you want a sound experience, it's not just music. I feel like Cornelius has some amazing albums for that my parents exposed me to. Pat Metheny, another one. Rain River is my very favorite Pat Metheny song that my parents introduced me to. Man, what else? Joe Mascalero and the Strummers, maybe, would be another one. Midnight Oil. Yeah, there's so many. And then Berkeley. Berkeley, when we were in seventh grade. And I don't know how you thought to do this, because I had never thought that this was even possible. Berkeley made me a 3 CD mixtape of so many 80s songs that I had never heard before. And 99 Red Balloons, first time I had ever heard
Mm.
that. Safety Dance,
Ooh,
Forever Young, Come On Eileen, like so many different hits that I had never heard before. And
nice. Well, you're welcome. Those are good ones.
yeah,
I'm impressed you remember that track list. I do not at all.
I still have it actually. Um, yeah, in a box with my CD player that I haven't used in a while. But yeah, so you exposed me to a lot of music as well. Did you
Nice. Well, I'm
Billy
happy to hear
Joel,
that.
man? You introduced me to Billy Joel.
Wow.
That's
Well,
wild to me.
okay. So it must have been my mom's idea because she was very into mixtapes as a youth and as an adult. My whole family kind of went through a making CDs phase. And based on that selection, I'm sure she had a lot of influence on it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think I think a mixtape is such a cool personal gift.
Hmm.
The modern equivalent is sending somebody the link to a playlist you made, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't quite hit the same, I feel like. I don't know.
My sister is very good at playlists. She'll
Yeah.
spend hours and hours like really customizing one for you. Um, and always picks just the perfect image as the image on the playlist.
Yeah.
Anyway, Susie says that if she has released Taylor's version, I listened to that, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. I'm definitely a casual fan.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
fair.
I I don't really listen to Taylor Swift. I just think the licensing issues are interesting.
Hmm.
But I heard plenty as a high schooler.
Yeah, it was everywhere. Can I tell you about a TV show I'm super excited about?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So, Good Omens. I feel like I must have talked about it on the stream at some point because I love this show so much. It's based on a book that was written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, who were both
Oh, yep,
fantastic
I read this.
English
Okay.
authors.
I'm with you.
Okay. Um, I don't remember who started it, but one of the two authors wrote like two-thirds of the book and then just could not figure out an ending and sent it to the other one. And the other one was like, here's a great ending. And then they like edited it together. And now it's an incredible book and an incredible TV show. Um,
The book is so good. I can't recommend it enough, especially if you enjoy British humor, which I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible and very creative. Anyways, I don't want to take away your spotlight, but
Sorry, I
yeah.
got distracted by the chat because Megan says that her Christmas playlist from my sister had a picture of Ransom from Knives Out. So yeah, she does the best images.
Ransom? Are you back again already? Sorry.
So the premise of Good Omens is it is uh it's about heaven and hell. The main characters are an angel and a demon who have both been on Earth for 6,000 years. One of them was the angel with a flaming sword in the Garden of Eden, and the other one was the serpent in the Garden of Eden. So they've been working against each other from the beginning, but after 6,000 years on Earth, they became friends and they decided they liked humanity more than their respective dogmas. And so they kind of team up to try to stop the apocalypse. Um, Both like the angels and the demons, like hell and heaven, the organizations in this show are and in the book are like very just focused, single-minded, not thinking about consequences, just very excited to have this war to end all wars. Um,
And
and
they're
just
almost
these
like
two
driven by the
characters,
bureaucracy too, I feel like.
yeah, yeah, it's a very fascinating take on theology. It's not meant to be like a theological commentary. It just kind of takes that as the setting and does interesting human commentary. Anyway, so these two characters are like the only ones with any sense and are like, maybe it would be better if the world didn't end. So hijinks ensue. There's very absurdist, bizarre British humor, very heartwarming moments, very sweet messages. Um, in the show, David Tennant plays the demon, and Michael Sheen, is that his name? Sorry, I gotta look up the cast.
I would love if it was Simon Pegg. I think Simon Pegg is a phenomenal British comedic actor.
Oh, it is Michael Sheen.
Oh,
I
really?
hadn't
Okay.
seen him in anything other than this, I don't think. So I don't know what frame of reference people might have for him, but they're both fantastic. They do a great job in this show, and I recommend it. I'm going to say something I don't say often. I would actually not recommend reading the book and watching the show
Oh, really?
because I watched the show and then immediately the next week read the book, and like 90% of the show is just word for word perfect adaptation of the book. And so it was just repetitive. It was boring to do both things.
That's so
That's how
interesting.
good of an adaptation it was. So maybe it would have been better if I'd had more than a week in between.
Yeah.
But read the book or watch the movie or watch the show. They're both great. And season two of the show is coming out soon. This one is not based on a book. Neil Gaiman just wrote the screenplay for season two, or co-wrote. I don't know how many other people were involved. Um, so the plot of the first season is avoiding the apocalypse. From the trailer, it looks like the plot of the second one is that the angel Gabriel has lost his memory and is on Earth, and both heaven and hell are looking for him, and the two main characters are hiding him. So that's fun.
Hijinks ensue.
Hijinks ensue.
Berkeley, what streaming service are you watching?
Yes, this is an Amazon Prime show.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I hate supporting Amazon, but this is one of the best things they've done.
Yeah. Yeah, I will have to watch it. I remember reading the book at your recommendation and really really enjoying it. So I'll have
Mm.
to give the show a shot and see. David Tennant's always phenomenal. I first saw his acting in Doctor Who. Shout out to my fellow Doctor Who fans. Um, but
Did
yeah,
you see that before Harry Potter?
yes, I did actually.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, weirdly. Actually, when did the fourth Harry Potter film come out? Because that might not be true now that I'm thinking about it.
I am not sure, but I'm pretty confident it was before David Tennant took over as the Doctor. But maybe you didn't see it right when it came out.
I don't know. Let's take a look here. Harry Potter movie 4 release date. November 18th, 2005. Remember that.
Okay.
Now,
I think 2005 is also when they rebooted Doctor Who, so that would have been Eccleston still.
yeah, David Tennant was on 2007, it looks like. Oh no, I could be wrong. Okay. Yeah, it looks like David Tennant might have started in 2006. Regardless, very close together. And I don't know if I saw Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in theaters. I might have been a little young at the time because I would have been 10.
Yeah, that one was. That's when the series was getting intense for a 10-year-old. I can handle it now just fine.
I'm a
Don't
big
you
boy
worry.
now.
I am. Right, before we go, I wanted to pitch a game to you all for next time we stream.
Yeah.
Jared and I tried out a game called Redactyl, which is loosely inspired by Wordle. Um, you all remember that from a couple of years ago when it was relevant. So Redactyl gives you a Wikipedia article with most of the words redacted, and you have to guess words. And if the word appears in the Wikipedia article, it fills it in. And your goal is to guess the title of the article. And it is very easy to play multiplayer. So we were thinking we could all play together. Um, I would like make a game and send out a link in the chat, and then everyone could hop on and we could play together. So I think that's what we're going to do next week. Hopefully that's exciting to people.
It is really fun. It's very challenging as well. So I'm excited to see if it'll be easier with a big group because Berkeley and I tried to get through one and I thought it was going to be super easy, but you actually have to think and use as much context clue brain power as you can muster.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think the ones that we did together, we got unlucky with how difficult they were. They usually aren't that hard. But yeah, it's a good challenge. But Barman says it's cool, and Susie says that sounds funny. So I'm treating that as enthusiastic yes.
That's right.
Uh, Thanks everyone for rolling with us. Oh, and hopefully that gives less motion sickness than Portal did.
True.
Almost
Wikipedia
8,000
articles
in
don't jump
truffles.
around that much.
If they do, there's something very wrong.
How much did you say, Berkeley? 8,000?
Almost 8,000 just in truffles. 11,000
Nice.
total.
How many pigs is that?
Uh, do you mean how many could we buy with 8,000, or how
Yeah.
many pigs are generated? One pig, I believe, is 8,000.
Oh, really? Okay. So we've got enough to buy a pig a day.
Yeah, that is a good way of looking at it. Crazy. And we've made 1.6 million total.
That's a lot of money.
And I got to level 7 foraging. Great day.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on our way. We're making progress.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We talked about it at the beginning, but if you haven't joined our Discord yet, please do so. You can find that in our link tree, which is in the description of this video if you're on YouTube, or the about section of our bio if you're on Twitch. We can share. Oh, pigs are 16,000. Never mind.
Man,
We
half a
can buy
pig.
one pig every other day. Oh well. Yeah, on Discord we talk more about books we were reading. We've got a channel for talking about games, but the main purpose of the Discord is we want to hear from you. We've been doing Instagram and Twitch and YouTube, which are all kind of like us broadcasting to the world. But our favorite part of this is the chat, and Discord is just chat all the time. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess they do have streaming features, but we don't use them. We're
That's
here to
right.
listen.
That's right.
So hop on over to our Discord. There should be just an open invite link for anyone that wants it, and we'd love to spend some time with you there.
We're going to talk about, so I'm going to talk about some stuff that might be too in depth for the stream as well. So if
Mm,
you're interested at all in history, sit down with me in Discord because we're going to get into it.
nice. Can't wait. And as always, please subscribe to our YouTube and our Twitch and our Instagram. Well, maybe not Instagram so much anymore because we're kind of gonna phase that out and just use Discord. But yeah, come join us in all the places. We love
Any,
to see you.
yep, anywhere you are, we also are. Probably.
I don't know about that.
Join us on LinkedIn.
Join us on LinkedIn.
This is a business stream now.
Um, Catch us on our Truth Social account.
Oh
Uh,
no. Oh no.
I wouldn't even know how to begin to make a Truth Social account.
Well, step one, have a Russian troll IP. Step
Mm,
two.
there we go.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for coming out, and we'll catch you again next week.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
Bye.